Now, if you clicked on this video, then chances are you're either in the process of moving to Minnesota or you're at least thinking about it. Well, if you're weighing your options and you want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly on Minnesota, then you've come to the right place. Because in this video, we're going to be talking about just that: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Stay tuned. Welcome to Moving to Minnesota, the channel that's dedicated to teaching you everything you need to know about what it's like moving here. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the pros and cons about living here, but real quick before we get started, if you don't know anything about Minnesota at all, then another video you should watch right after this one is my 10 Things You Didn't Know video, where I talk about some really interesting facts that most people don't know about Minnesota. So I'll link that up in the description below, or above, and in the description below. But I guarantee you guys will be shocked by some of the facts on that list. So let's start off by talking about some of the pros about living here. Now, one of the first pros that comes to mind for me is the fact that we have all 4 seasons. And no, I'm not talking about the hotel, although we did just get one of those in downtown Minneapolis, but I'm talking about the actual weather. Now, Minnesota has a full spring, summer, winter, and fall. Now, why would I consider this a pro? Well, I know the first thing that comes to mind for you is probably the Minnesota winters are terrible, which I'll get to later. But for me, the thought of having Christmas dinner, for instance, in a state like Florida with family, but then you look outside and it's 85 degrees out and there's an alligator walking across your lawn. Now, that just doesn't really capture the true essence of Christmas for me. It's also great having changes in weather since you can get a break from those extreme temps, because sometimes our summers can get really humid because of all the lakes we have, so having those nice 70-degree breezy days in the fall are a godsend. Now, vice versa, dealing with the cold winters for 3 to 4 months out of the year makes those 40-degree days feel like shorts and t-shirt weather. And yes, you will actually see Minnesotans with shorts and a t-shirt on when it's 40 degrees out. That's a fact. Considering that a lot of people move to Minnesota for work, another pro is our very strong job economy. Now, Minnesota has one of the lowest unemployment rates of any state in the United States, and we also are home of plenty of Fortune 500 companies such as Target, Best Buy, United Health Group, 3M, General Mills, as well as other notable companies. Now, if you're in the medical field especially, then Minnesota is perfect for you because we're home to some of the biggest medical companies in the country, such as Medtronic and the Mayo Clinic. Now, Minnesota is actually nicknamed Medical Alley due to our heavy presence in the medical industry. Now, with such a strong job economy also comes higher earnings. In fact, the median household income in Minnesota was just a little over $70,000 in 2022, which is actually ranked number 13 out of the 50 states. Now, another pro is that if you like the outdoors, then you'll have no shortage of things to do. We have tons of golf courses, walking and biking trails, lakes, and plenty of parks. And even in the winter, we still have fun things to do outside, like the Beer Dabbler, which is held at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds, where hundreds of craft beer makers gather to hand out free beer for people to try. And if you travel up to Duluth, which is about an hour and a half north of Minneapolis, you'll get to check out the Bentleyville Tour of Lights, which is an outdoor light display during the holidays and also sports the nation's tallest Christmas tree. Now, if you're a foodie, then you'll love Minneapolis because of our very diverse food scene earns us the rank as one of the best food cities in the world. And no, I'm not making that up. If you don't believe me, just Google it yourself. And it shouldn't be even a surprise because seeing how we have the #1 state fair in the entire country, which has over 500 different kinds of foods, with new foods being added each year. Now, some of the famous foods that Minnesota is known for is the Juicy Lucy, wild rice, and inventing the Milky Way and Three Musketeer candy bar. So now that we've talked about some of the good, let's talk about some of the bad and the ugly. But first, if you're finding this video useful, please make sure to hit the like button for me so that I know I'm making content you guys want to see. Also, leave a comment below as to what has you thinking about moving to Minnesota. I'm pretty curious. Okay, so now, while there are plenty of pros about living in Minnesota, let's talk about some of the cons. Now, remember how I was saying Minnesota is ranked number 13 for median household income? Well, that's because we're also ranked number 5 for states with the highest taxes, only behind New York, New Jersey, Hawaii, and Maine, depending on which list you're looking at. Now, personally, with me being from Minnesota and living here my whole life, it's all I know. So in my opinion, it isn't that bad. Now, if you're moving here from one of those states that I just named, or even a state that's pretty close to Minnesota's ranking, then this probably won't bother you much. But if you're moving here from a state that has significantly lower taxes, just know that although taxes may be higher here, the median household income is also higher than most states, so I would like to think that balances out a little bit. But I will say though that because of our higher taxes, it probably isn't the best state to retire in. Con number 2 is our ongoing road construction. Now, fellow Minnesotans know exactly what I'm talking about. And because of our extreme weather swings, we're constantly doing road maintenance every spring, summer, and fall. Now, this is due to the freezing and thawing of the roads during the winter and spring, as well as corrosion from the road salt applications during the winter. Now, it's a good thing that we keep our roads in such good condition, but it seems like there's always a road closed and can add a lot of time to your commute if you didn't know the road was closed ahead of time. But now, the good thing is that Minnesota's infrastructure is so good that there are multiple different ways to get to the same destination without adding much time to your commute. But one word of advice that I just learned just this past week is if your GPS is telling you to go a different way than you would normally take, just do what it's telling you to do, because Google Maps probably knows something that you didn't, and it'll save you a lot of time. And lastly, what we've all been waiting for, Minnesota winters. And just in case you were wondering, yes, it's cold as shit. Now, again, this is something that's very subjective because as someone who has spent his whole life here, I would say it isn't that bad, but there are some days where you walk outside and immediately almost pee your pants as soon as that wind hits you. Now, as far as the snow goes, the Twin Cities area will see about 52 inches a year per snow per year on average. And if you live further north, you'll probably see more than that. And that's typically why you'll see most people here driving SUVs with all-wheel drive, or they may even have more than one vehicle, one that they use in the winter specifically, and then one that they use all the other times. Now, you can make it by in a Minnesota winter with front-wheel drive vehicle, but you'll need to invest in some winter tires at the very least. But if you're someone that drives a rear-wheel vehicle, then you'll look like an absolute fool, winter tires or not. Now, opposite of popular belief though, it's not the snow you need to worry about when it comes to winter here. It's actually when there's no snow on the ground when you need to worry, because that's when it gets really cold. The temps can get as low as negative 25 degrees, and depending on the wind chill can mean instant frostbite. Now, luckily though, that's not the norm, but there will be a few of those kinds of days sprinkled into our 3 to 4 month winters. Overall, our winters really aren't as bad as people think they are, but the biggest thing is just dressing properly. Wearing layers, cover your hands, toes, and ears, and you'll be just fine. And that is it for this video. I'm hoping you guys found this information useful, and if you did, please make sure to hit that like button for me so I know that this is the type of content you guys want to learn about. And also, I'm always looking for more topics to cover, so if you have something specific about Minnesota that you want to learn, leave a comment below, and if I get enough people saying the same thing, then I'll make a video on it. Also, be sure to check out my 10 things you didn't know Also, make sure to check out my 10 things you didn't know video where I talk about some really interesting facts that even most Minnesotans don't know about. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.